Good afternoon. We'd like to thank all of you for joining us today. We are excited to kick off and host this special event really for all of our friends at the LCCA. You guys have meant so much to us over the years. Lionel and the LCCA have had such a great relationship over the years, and our team truly loves getting to come to conventions and really getting to work with the leadership there like Sal and Harry to not only help create and customize unique new products, but we're also excited to really get the chance to share some of the magic that Lionel has to offer with all of you. As everybody is familiar with, we have just come out with our 2022 catalog and lots of exciting products and exciting content. So the team over here at Lionel is really looking forward to kind of doing something a little bit special today for all of you guys. We have Dave Olson on the screen, our Director of Engineering, Ryan Kunkel, Director of Product Management, and Lauren Morris, our Director of Custom Product and USA Production. This is kind of the team that's fortunate today that gets to be a part of sharing some of the magic of Lionel, some of our new technology like Base3 and CAB3, as well as some of the custom products that we work with and create for all of you at the LCCA. So thank you for joining us, and we hope you guys enjoy the show.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Good evening. All right. Well, we've got a few folks on here, Dave, and I know we wanted to welcome everybody. And one of the biggest things to come out of the newest catalog, and one of the biggest areas we've had a lot of questions and comments is with the new Base3 and the CAB3 app that goes along with it. And what a great new piece this is. And you and the team have done a lot of work developing this over the last several years as we get ready to enter a new generation of Lionel command control. And I think at this point, I'd be best serving our members if I let you take the floor and run with this a little bit, talk about everything the new Base3 has to offer for everyone.
Sure. I'm sure many watching have already heard about it or read about it in the catalog. I invite you to open up the catalog again and refamiliarize yourself with the new offering. We've also created a few videos going over the basic features of the Base3 and the CAB3 app, so make sure you look those up on YouTube or even on our catalog pages themselves on Lionel.com. There are links there to the videos. So make sure you review all those. If you have any more questions too while we're talking, go ahead and enter those into the comment box, and we'll try to address them as we see them pop up. The Lionel Base3 and the CAB3 app, as Ryan said, is our latest iteration in the command control for Lionel trains, and it does a lot more than its predecessors do. We wanted to bring command control to every kind of Lionel engine possible with one controller of your choosing. So the Lionel Base3 will be compatible with the CAB1Ls, the CAB2 remotes, as well as the new CAB3 app that will be available on iOS or Android. And the CAB3 app will have a Bluetooth mode as well as the base mode. The Bluetooth mode everybody will be familiarized with if they've used the Lion Chief app before. It is a direct one-to-one pairing between the controller and the engine, so you don't need a base. But then there is also the command-based mode, and both of these modes can run at the same time if you want to run engines that way. And the Base3 side of the app will be able to have every control available to it that the CAB2 remote has, so there are no functionality losses going from a CAB2 remote to a CAB3 app. All the features and functionality that you've been accustomed to in legacy engines will be available through that app and with the Base3. And we plan on continuing to expand the feature set in our legacy and command-based engines. And one great thing about the Base3 is the ability to do firmware updates using the CAB3 app over Wi-Fi. So we will be able to continue doing new development and code work for the Base3 to bring you additional features that you'll be able to update using the CAB3 app within a matter of minutes without having to call us or send the unit in to us or use a memory module. It's something that you'll be able to do very quickly with your smartphone and an internet connection. So really a whole lot of tech involved and a lot of work over the past 3 years for these products. and I'm excited to finally announce it last month, and then we are getting it slowly constructed over in the Orient. So we are procuring the parts and cutting the tooling, and as well as doing some continual development and testing here in-house. I do see a comment from somebody about having beta testers, and once the beta test program, or I'm sorry, once we are happy with the testing in-house, we will be having beta testers, but as of now, there's no more information on that. But yes, we definitely want to do our due diligence and thorough testing before the product goes out to market. Even though we will have the ability to do updates out in the field, it's always nice to get as much in and get it correct before the product ships. So I could ramble on for hours about this, Ryan. As you know, I'm really excited about it, but I think for the sake of time, and as well as, you know, repeating the same thing some of these guys have probably heard before, I think I would like for you to say what your favorite features of first the Base 3 and then the CAB3 app are. As somebody who hasn't been so involved in the actual development of the code and whatnot, you know, I'd like to hear, Ryan, what your perspectives are and what your favorite features of the Base 3 are.
Besides all the blinky lights?
I figured that you and marketing and everybody, just the blinky lights is everybody's favorite, right?
Yeah, no, actually what I really like about Base 3 and the CAB3 app is that while we've made a lot of effort and gone out of our way to make sure that no train is left behind and no remote is left behind, so that this is still compatible with your CAB2 and your CAB1L, and even your CAB1 if you want to go that far back. The opportunities and the potential for what this means for Lionel down the road is really a whole new horizon. And it might not feel as big of a change right now because some of the features that we're rolling out at this time in it aren't quite as are big, but they're not as they don't seem, you're only seeing a small portion of its capability. But over the next couple of years, this is going to continue to develop as we can incorporate new features into the app and into our locomotives that simply wouldn't be possible with the existing technology that we've been using for the last 20 years. So what I like about it is there's definitely a nod to the past, and it's an easy system to transition into. If you're just getting started, it's a great platform to jump off on. If you've been in it for a while, it's a helpful seamless bridge into the next generation. But really, I can see what a lot of people can't see from outside the company yet, which is where we're going with this, and it's really has a lot of potential. So I'm quite excited about seeing what comes next as we continue to move through things.
Yeah, I like that too. One thing we've built into the Base 3 is the ability, like I said, to continue development and incorporating new features and expanding our abilities in the future. So the Base 3 is something that'll be here to stay and gives us so much flexibility in terms of doing new product and new features. As a guy that is not so in love with smartphones, now you got to tell me what you like about the smartphone app.
We were playing with this the other day in your office, and yeah, everyone who knows me knows that I am not a phone guy. I'm a rather old-fashioned person when it comes to using modern technology and apps and whatnot. I got dragged into this century kicking and screaming, like a lot of people. But I was actually pretty impressed with the early versions of this app that you've got so far, and really how comfortable and user intuitive it is. And you're working in some of the haptic feedback even now that we have in our current remote to give you a better feel for what it's like to have this in your hand. The buttons are laid out in such a way that what you need is available to you very easily. And what you don't need all the time, you can still get to without a whole lot of thinking and a whole lot of work. So it's taken, in some ways, one of the common complaints about or I shouldn't say complaints, but I guess concerns over the big CAB2 was just how ominous looking the thing is. And until you get to know what all the buttons do, it feels very intimidating. And while we've still got every single one of those features in the new app, they're not all competing for your attention all at once. So things like what were we looking at? The separate volume controls, for example, for the different sound cycles are on a separate screen that you can swipe over to. So you're not bombarded with everything all at once. And the little icons are not so small. They're really, if you can hit the buttons on the CAB3 remote, you'll have no trouble hitting the right button on the smartphone. So I think there's been a lot of thought that went into that. Just even little things too, like having the picture of the locomotive there in the readout, which is something you could do with the Lion Chief app. I think that's helpful, especially in the legacy system where you may have multiple engines and similar numbers. Now our 4-digit number improvement, I'm really excited about that. As somebody who can't remember digits very well, it's nice to just look at the side of a locomotive and know what to enter in there. So very, very happy for that. So that's those little things are quite nice and do allow you to really do a heck of a lot with this remote. And I know what you're seeing there on the screen is not final yet. There's still some changes in development being made, but it's a very user-friendly app and a very user-friendly remote. And I think the opportunities that this presents, as well as lowering the entry point for a lot of people to get involved, if you're a member of a club or just going over to someone's house to run trains, the ability to get a remote without having to go out and buy a remote and then take care of it and so forth is quite nice, and I think will help with the shareability of this hobby.
I agree, and I think everything you said really nails it on the head, as well as the ability to kind of hide the different features in the app that you don't use as often, so that your screen doesn't look so crowded. I know that even looking on the screen here at the CAB3 command-based side, it does look like there's a lot going on, but those really are the basic functions of controlling an engine, and then you swipe left, right, up, and down to get to other screens and other access points for both the base and for your trains. It's very similar in terms of the iCab app when compared to it, but greatly expanded upon. So it's definitely something that we're targeting to be usable from both the entry-level user all the way up to the high-end legacy technical guru guys. So this is an app that I really want to see everybody take to and get comfortable with and use in the future. Patrick does ask the question, will the app have a free version? So the Bluetooth side of the app is free to download for anybody, or will be once we release the app later this year. It's not quite ready yet. And the command-based side of the app will have a charge of $29.99 for those who don't buy the Base 3. But if you do purchase the Base 3, it'll come with redemption codes to unlock the command-based side of the app without having to pay for it. So looking good, Ryan. And again, I'm excited about it and excited about future development as well as, as you've mentioned, the 4-digit addressing as we move into the Vision Line Class A locomotive here, and what that feature means to us going forward in the future, and what we can do with that technology.
Right. So that's one of the cool new things about Base 3 and the CAB3 app is that it will allow us to do 4-digit addressing on some of our new locomotives going forward. And this isn't just something we could do through a tweak in the software or even the hardware of the existing legacy system. This had to require this new development. And whether you have 1,000 engines or you have 2 engines, sometimes it's really nice to have that 4-digit addressing because it just makes it easier. You don't have to worry about duplicating numbers as quickly, or remembering if you use the first 2 digits, the last 2 digits. You just look at the side of the engine and away you go. So that will be a new feature rolling out here on the Vision Class A locomotives this year. It'll be on Vision engines for a while going forward, and then not too distant future, you'll start to see this trickle down into the rest of the line. Just like things like whistle steam and swinging bells were once exclusively Vision features, now you'll see those wherever we can cram them in. And the 4-digit addressing and the hardware necessary to make that happen will start becoming more readily available down the road. So it'll make that app and that base even more useful to you going forward. But the Class A is an all new engine for us. Yes, we've done the Class A's before, but this one's been completely redone, all new tooling from the rails up on this engine. We've got multiple different variations. So we've got a lot of road number specific detailing on this, from tenders to crosshead guides to sandbox sand lines and turret covers and pilots and you name it. There's at least a dozen or two different variations that we've worked into this model. So each SKU is a little bit unique, but you also get some of the other great classic vision features in here. You've got the stereo sound with the three speakers, two in the tender, one in the engine. You've got stack smoke, whistle smoke, the safety valve steam effect. You've got the force coupler effect, which simulates the labor on the engine as your drawbar pull changes. You've got a kinematic drawbar. You've got the various LED lighting. Really, this thing is decked out from one end to the other. And Dave, since you put me on the spot to talk about your baby, I'm going to do the same and ask you what you think of the Class A and your favorite features.
Well, when it comes to the Class A, I might be a little biased in terms of features because a lot of the vision features that are making a recurrence here have been ones that I've worked on in the past for previous vision line offerings. With my favorite feature probably being the force coupler feature, as you talked about, where the force on the drawbar of the locomotive is measured by sensors inside the locomotive and automatically adjust the labor chuff in the engine sound system as well as the smoke output. And that was a big project for us back when we first unveiled it with the Vision Line Niagara, as well as carrying it forward to the Vision Line GS and now having it in the Class A. And it really is an important feature to me, just not only because of my history and involvement with developing it, but just because of how cool it is to simulate reality with changing labor rates going up and down hills depending on load, etc. So that's probably my favorite technical feature of the Locomotive, aside from the newly developed 4-digit addressing with the Base3 and CAB3. But my other favorite features are always smoke, Ryan. I mean, you're the smoke guy here, but when you stick smoke unit on another hole and it makes another sound, it just always still lights you up with excitement, even if you've seen it a million times, right?
Yep. We like to blow smoke around the office, but it's the safety valve steam is always a favorite for me, just because it's one of those things that's really different and distinct. But I'm actually with you on the force coupler. It's one of those really cool effects that you don't appreciate until you see it and you hear it, and just those changes as the train's working and you hear those changes. You don't just get a constant chuff 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 the whole time the train's running. If you change the variables on the locomotive, it responds, and it responds accurately. And I don't think there's any other comparable experience in the model train world, for sure. And if you spend any time around real locomotives, you've definitely heard that and experienced it. So it just takes the realism to a whole new plane and allows you to get lost in your layout with some of these great vision features. So we've got a ton of different prototype variations here, going from some of the earlier ones like the prototype number 1200 we've got here on the screen. We've got, of course, the 1218 excursion version. This will be the one with a little bit more of a glossy finish and fitted out like the Locomotive was in its last excursion years. And then we've got several different variations in between, including the 1238, which is a good post-war looking version, very similar to the 1218, but without some of the final details. Obviously, a more flat finish on it for the paint, and a few other detail modifications as well. We've got the 1210, which represents their look up to and during World War II. And the 1211, another sort of post-war appearance. And then for the LCCA members, we've got the 1222 here, which is probably most similar, I guess I would say, to the 1238 in details. So if you're looking to double head, this and the 1238 or this and the 1211 would look really good together, really natural in a double-headed environment, because they'd all be of relatively contemporary details. Although there are some subtle differences on each one, such as the bearing, roller bearing or multi-bearing rods, the alligator crossheads, the aftercooler or lack thereof on the pilot. So you have still have a lot of variations in these that makes each one unique, but they would pair nicely and look like a good match set on your favorite N&W freight train. And of course, we've got the pilot and our what if passenger scheme too, which is much more subdued and simple than some of the fantasy schemes we've done in the past. But these locomotives were occasionally put in passenger service, especially on mail trains and some of the heavier runs, and they could hold passenger schedules because of their design. So it's not too terribly far fetched of a paint scheme and an option for the N&W. So we wanted to include that here as just one with a little bit more color and pizzazz to it than the others.
And it really reminds me of the J.
Yeah, it's sort of a combination of the J and some of the semi-daylight engines that we've done in the past, where the striping was on the cab but not up the full boiler. So I took a little bit of Southern Pacific inspiration on that one for you there, Dave, because I know that that's your favorite. So maybe that's the one we'll talk you into buying for this round.
Only if you make a Conrail Blue Class A.
It don't tempt me.
Yeah, I got you off guard there.
All right. Anything else you want to say on the A's, Dave, before we move on?
No, nothing else on the A. I think that pretty well covers it, and I think it's going to be a pretty amazing locomotive.
Yeah. So definitely for LCCA members, if you want to pick up the 1222, reach out and order that through the LCCA. For any of the other numbers, you can reach out to your favorite hobby dealer. We've got just another week or two left in the order window here, so you may want to get those orders in. So these will be built to order, just like all of our high-end locomotives are. And I expect that once these are out there in another year or two, these will be like the Vision Big Boys and everything else. You won't be able to find them short of paying a ridiculous price on an online auction site. So definitely, if you're interested in one of these, get your orders in. And we've got the closer up here of the LCCA version of the A. And we should be getting some more designs and tooling samples in the not too distant future. And as we get more information, we'll definitely be having more things put up. But Dave, you did a great job rendering all of our catalog art on this from actual pre-production, initial draft drawings of the locomotive. So they're going to be fairly close to what you see on the screens, although we've made a few detail corrections here and there, the things that were rightly pointed out to us since we released the catalog, as always.
Yeah, I do enjoy doing the renders for these engines based off the CAD, because the CAD is, what is used to produce the tooling and lay out these engines. So it is very representative of what will be shipped once the engines are built. And as Ryan said, we are making some modifications to the detailing of these engines as some of you send in your comments, or we discover other detail variations based on books and other prototype photos. So something we continually work on, even though it's already been cataloged.
All right. So now they asked us to, because the catalog is so big and it's been out for a while, if we went through the whole catalog and talked about everything, we'd be here till 5 o'clock. So in the interest of not doing that, we were told to pick our favorite 3 out of the catalog. And it's a hard choice. It's like picking your favorite kid, but we've both come up with a few. So looks like I'm leading off the order here, and I'm going to throw in the horse car as one of my favorite picks. And I picked this one for a couple of reasons. One, it's a cool car with a lot of action and excitement, and adds a neat dimension to your operating trains. But I also like putting things in the catalog that people turn around and look at and go, man, I never thought of that. I didn't think of racehorses riding passenger trains. So things like this, or the chapel car, or even those the Department of Interior Mine Division passenger cars are just fun little tidbits of railroad history that I like to throw those little nuggets out there in the catalog and make you think. And even if your favorite railroad isn't represented here, these cars travel all over the country, so you can model the Union Pacific and have a Pennsylvania baggage horse car in the train, it'd be perfectly prototypical because the owners of the horses would keep the animals on through the whole ride. And so you guys are having a lot of fun with the sounds on these. I know these are in development right now, right behind the pig cars that are on the next spread in the catalog, which, after hearing the quillable pig sounds earlier this week, I may have to change my top pick to the pig, but I think I still have to hear the quillable racehorse. So we'll stay in here for now. And of course, we do have 2 Christmas versions as well with reindeer cars for both the North Pole Central livery and the Polar Express. So these are a lot of fun. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the electronics and things going into them, Dave?
Well, my audio engineer is super appreciative of spending years in school and having a super important career to then be spending 4 or 5 days making a quilling pig or a quilling horse. So that is definitely something that not many people in other industries can say they do for a living. So definitely a unique product both here and on the stock car, as you mentioned. But these electronics are very similar to our station sound diners or our Vision Line reefer cars, or the other Vision Line stock cars we've done recently. So these are command controlled, and they will have multiple sequences, whether you're first loading up the horses, or if you're stopping for a water sequence just to get the horses out, stretch their legs, get something to eat, or if you're at the final destination, which, maybe the Kentucky Derby, right? Some of these definitely ended up there.
Yep.
So this whole product really is meant to tell a story that can come to life on your layout, and from start to finish, it really adds a whole nother dimension of realism as well as just fun for whatever train is pulling these cars. So
that's why I see these being a lot of fun.
Yes. Yeah, it's one way to horse around on your layout.
And Dave, on your next demos with Dave, I want to hear the quillable pig out there. I think it's time to unveil the pigs onto the world. That will definitely boost sales.
Sure, I'll write that down as a possibility.
All right. Well, let's get to your first pick here, Dave.
This one is not quite as out there as your first pick, maybe, but this is an engine that we have not done in many years, and kind of holds a place dear to me since I am a Southern Pacific guy, and I love that some of these engines came from the East Coast railroads out to the SP, especially with a face that really only a mother can love. It was nice that they did get second homes. And I also really like these engines because there's a lot more separate detailing on these engines than is standard. These really are, not very large Berkshires, but they are very highly detailed early Berkshires that do have a lot of detailing, as well as all the features packed into them of a standard legacy steam engine, with the different smoke units, the sounds, all the lighting effects as well. And all of the legacy engines that we're talking about and are in the new catalog do have the 5 different whistle or horn options, as well as 5 different pitch levels of the bell. And we have the bicolor marker lights, the classification lights on the front and on the rear of the tender where necessary. So just more and more features we continue to bring to these product lines. And this is one of my favorite engines in the catalog. So that's why it's my first pick.
Yeah, well, this is the first time we've done this with whistle steam and, of course, Bluetooth control as well, I believe. So,
correct.
Really a great new addition into the line, at least feature-wise. And like you said, these really have one of those faces that they're just pure utilitarian, as opposed to the later Berks, which had such great balance and design to them. These are just good workhorse-looking locomotives, and there's some strong appeal in that. And the fact that they traveled as far and wide as they did to so many different railroads makes it a natural choice as well.
Yeah, and the engines that have those feed water heaters out front really stick out all the time, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when they're painted up silver.
All right. So next for me, speaking of interesting locomotives, If you followed, what we've done in some of my posts in the company over the last few years, you know I have a little soft spot for 19th century 440s, and these two sort of fit that bill, even though they're not brass hybrids. Although I do think this would make a really good candidate for a future brass hybrid, Dave. These are slightly smaller prototypes than even the engines at Promontory, though. So I already hear you yelling at me on Room for Electronics. But this is, of course, obviously we've done the Generals so many times. But with it being an anniversary year for the Great Locomotive Chase, it seemed right to do them again. And for all the different issues and iterations of the General and the Texas we've done in the past, we've never really done it accurately. And we worked with a historian who's really top of the field and world-known expert on these two locomotives. Happens to be a good friend of mine going back to my days at the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania in Strasbourg. And Steve Miola was happy to help us get these models done right in the proper colors. And so that unique two-tone green and red on the General really is really different and striking than things we've done in the past on this locomotive or others. But it's an accurate paint rendition for how it would have looked at the time. And I think it's cool because Steve's story really starts out, his interest in trains really started out with a Lionel General. So it comes full circle to seeing him doing all that, leading to all that research and history, and then getting an accurate Lionel General. That's just kind of a neat little behind the scenes fun story about these models. These will be like the Promontory Summit set we did 2 years ago. You get the two line chief engines, and then the set includes a universal remote. It'll have that same Russia iron color as the boiler jackets on these engines. So a lot of fun. If you want to add rolling stock to it, we've got a 3-pack of freight cars there that you could add on. Of course, there's other traditional line old style rolling stock out there as well. But some of these are new tooling to us as well here in the catalog, like the vinegar tank car and the stock car. So you definitely want to take a look at those. And if you've got the LCCA collectible set from a few years ago, this would be a great complement to it because the paint schemes are so radically different. That to have the four engines on display together, I think would make a really cool display piece to see sort of the later restored versions, and 20th century adaptation version of the two locomotives, and then the original 19th century version side by side would be really cool.
Ryan, I might let you make scale versions of these engines if you also make scale versions of those freight cars.
Okay.
They'll be very tiny freight cars, huh?
Yeah, but we could probably still fit a speaker in there so you could add sounds.
I changed my mind.
We'll make one a hot box car.
Oh, I'm sure that would be great. With all the LEDs and smoke units in it.
Walking brakeman car.
Stop thinking of ideas.
Okay, I will turn it back over to you then, and go to a cute little diesel.
Yes, a scale cute little diesel. These are in one of the engines that is new to us, at least when it comes to the body of the locomotive. So the SW1 is new to the Lionel line, and we've decided to take our frame and trucks from our other SW engines, our other line, and take the new to us tooling for the shell and plunk it down on there and make all the electronics fit and give it the booming rail sounds everyone is used to. Even though it's a small engine, we can still fit our standard 40 millimeter Legacy speaker in it, which does add a lot of great sound and low-end bass to Legacy engines. So that's why this guy kind of made my list as number 2. Has nothing to do with the fact that you picked a Southern Pacific one that's there on the right side of the page.
I figured that had nothing to do with that selection.
Absolutely nothing to do with my choice as being my number 2. But there is a Conrail one above it too, so you can't fault me too bad.
Well, no, yeah, and I can't imagine how a blue engine would land in the catalog either every now and then.
Well,
one of the cool things about these two is the fixed pilots on these locomotives.
Yes.
It's not something we get to do a lot, but for a scale engine with fixed pilots is a really cool thing.
especially if if you decide to put scale couplers on these. We do make it easy to remove the electric couplers that come with these, and then with fixed pilots and scale size couplers, these engines really do come to life in terms of realism. And that's pretty much the standard for our legacy locomotives, and having provisions available for scale coupler compatibility. So I agree with you definitely there on the fixed pilot, and as well as small layout friendly.
All right, so for my third pick, I wanted to, again, go to the back half of the catalog a little bit. And actually, my third pick is going to be coming up next in your third pick. But I wanted to do another. So I went to my second favorite accessory, which is our tank car training accessory. This is a neat little animated piece, and Megan did a great job really on all this thing. But what I like about this accessory is it works on its own. I mean, we've all seen these the firefighter training areas where an old tank car is usually used to simulate spills and emergency response. And Megan adapted our old tank car derailment piece to something a little bit more contemporary and unique. And I think this pairs so well also with the operating fire station and with the first responders train set that are all in this spread together. There's so much action and interest going on here that just these three items alone would make a really, really cool theme for a layout and themed area on a layout. And then also, with the burning house that we did a year or so ago that'll be delivering soon, where you said I was crazy for putting in a dual smoke unit, and now everyone loves how much it smokes. Almost like I was right again, Dave. This is just such a fun piece. So, and it was great that we were able to work with the local fire company here just down the road in Harrisburg, North Carolina, to have the figures made and have them in actual gear and poses. And of course, those figures are also available separately. So that was fun to be able to work with them and do that, and the tie-in with the local community being there. And just that it's a neat accessory that will fit on pretty much anyone's layout with minimal hookup and worry, but adds a neat little story right there on the scene itself. Is a cool one for me.
Yeah, I like it as well, and it's great that the figures will be available separate sale.
Mm-hmm.
You can never have enough firemen protecting your layout.
That's right. All right, so I'll let you take it away on this one, because this one is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, and I really think it's cool because I do love space and NASA and just all sorts of things that get me out of the atmosphere, away from your crazy ideas. But I think I also enjoy this one because the amount of involvement it took my team and myself to really get it to where we wanted. And I think it's going to be a pretty amazing accessory. One thing that isn't quite conveyed in the catalog is the sheer size of this accessory. It is a very large accessory. One thing you can do is look at our previous release of the accessory from a couple decades ago, I think at this point. And it really does take up a good amount of space and kind of is a focal point of the area that you'll put this on your layout. But the great part about this is the new electronics going into it. It is plug, expand, play compatible, and it will be coming with a control box that you can mount on the edge of your layout to control all the features. But it's also command control equipped, so you'll be able to operate this accessory with a cab controller, or the new CAB3 app using the Base3, or any other command control equipped system that controls Lionel equipment. This accessory will have the smoke for when the rocket is taken off. It'll have the sound effects, so you'll have the countdown sequence and all the star crew. It'll have lights for warning lights, as well as takeoff lights under the rocket. And it has a motorized gantry, so the gantry that moves back and forth that can pick up the rocket with a little crane that will be powered and move back and forth on the rails you see at the bottom. So really a feature-packed accessory that I think will do justice to any space theme layout out there. One that also has a launch mechanism that surprised me the first time I saw it. I mean, it's an electric coil launch mechanism, and I thought I was going to put a hole through our ceiling here in engineering the first time I launched it. So of course I tried it again to actually put a hole through the ceiling, and I'm still attempting to succeed. I'm hoping our facilities manager, he'll be happy when I put a hole through the ceiling, but I think it'll be worth it.
Yeah, this one is just a really cool piece. It does a lot more than the previous release of this, and it's been decades since then, but it does a lot more. The only thing that we haven't included, despite the fact that it does so much more, is it doesn't have a control box in it that's like this freaking big and looks like straight out of 1972 video war game or something like that. But now you'll be able to control this right from the palm of your hand with your command control cab. So really fun piece. I'm anxious to see as samples come in. I'm sure this is one of those that we'll be doing a lot of demonstrations on as we go ahead throughout the year.
We might have to take it outside just to see how far we can launch it.
I think that sounds like the type of product level research and quality assurance testing, Dave, that we absolutely should be doing here at Lionel.
I think it's just professional due diligence at that point.
I see no other way to describe it. I mean, it won't be a lot of fun, but we'll do it anyway.
Anything to say against it.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you have to do the hard parts of the job, and
correct.
That'll just be one of them. Well, speaking of things that are in command and control, let's slide things over to our next talker, which would be our Ms. Lauren Morris, to take things away and talk a little bit about some of the wonderful club product and programs that she has for you for the rest of the year. Take it away, Lauren.
Yay, Lauren! You're muted. You're still muted, Lauren.
Lauren, you need to unmute.
Start over.
Thanks, guys. So Dave and Ryan are obviously key people on the production side of things that help us out with everything, but also a huge kudos to the rest of the production team, Megan and Megan and Corey and Sandy that help bring some of these things to life. That rocket pad, I'm excited to add that one to my collection as well. So the sooner the better on that one. I'm all for it. As you guys know, a key part of being a member of the LCCA is you get the opportunity for custom product. So the LCCA Vision Line Locomotive, Ryan kind of mentioned that earlier. It is a VTO. So if you want it, you need to go ahead and get that ordered now. Otherwise, you're going to miss out, and you're going to be looking to try to get that on eBay down the road. So it's definitely cool. Looking forward to the Base3. We actually got an opportunity to showcase that at the Springfield show last weekend, 2 weekends ago in a blizzard. So really well received. In addition to that, there are some new custom products that just came to the market. The LCCA just received this awesome Texas Special Brakeman car. As you guys are aware, throughout the years, they've released all of these cars through Texas Special, and there's going to be more coming down the line. Me personally, being from Texas, I love them the most, so they're my favorite to work on, but there'll be more coming along the line too. Also, this Scranton banquet trolley, we know that the convention was canceled last year, but we did proceed with making this product. So these are now in stock and available now. If you guys are interested in them, make sure you reach out to the LCCA business office. They are in stock and will be ready to ship. So, convention. Speaking of convention, we are excited. I'm probably speaking for myself and everybody else here that we will be attending the LCCA convention this year in Nashville. It's been a long 2 years, guys. I think Ryan and Dave and everybody here at the office can agree and attest to that as well. We miss seeing your faces. So obviously the digital world is great, but there's something extra special about being able to see some of our favorite people and talking trains. So we are excited to announce that we will be returning to Nashville this year, and there will be a Lionel seminar as well. Ryan always does a fantastic job, and Howard and Mike Phillips, as well as myself, will be there going through some great new things coming up in the Volume 2 catalog, which the team here is working on already. So we look forward to seeing you guys there, and hopefully at another train show coming in the future. with that, oh, there's Mike, one of our other favorite people.
Great job, everybody. Ryan, Dave, Lauren, thank you guys so much. It's like, I think all of us, it's an honor and a privilege to get to work at Lionel. We love what we do. We love the products we bring to life. It's always fun. All of us were at the Springfield show a couple of weeks ago, and it's always nice to get to see customers and consumers and the passion that you guys have for the product. It kind of reinvigorates us. Going to the show a couple of weeks ago, it's really nice. The things you guys say and talk about and how you think about the product and the brand only makes us more excited. So we appreciate everybody joining today. Again, extra special thanks to Sal and to Harry and to all the leadership at the LCCA. You guys really do a great job, but not only with product approvals, but working with our team on kind of fun concepts, crazy concepts, and really anything and everything. You guys are always open to it. And we truly have a great relationship over the past few years. And we look forward to seeing all of you guys this summer at the convention. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Guys. See you soon.